After a few years in my shop, with only a single stage dust collector hooked up to my table saw, I figured it was about time to do something with the dust situation. So I went with a central dust collection system and ran 2 pipelines throughout the shop. Let's take a look at them. The first drop is to the sanding area. Put in a 3-way connector with blast gates on all the separate machines. I made 2 kinds of blast gates on my system. I made the through sliders, which is a non-clogging blast gate. And I also had to put in some of these regular ones, which tend to clog. But I found a solution to that, and I'll show you that in a second. You might have noticed that I have these reed contacts on my blast gates. These are just reed contacts for windows and doors in an alarm system. You're supposed to have this opposing piece to close the contact. But as this is only a magnet and I could not fit this in any way, I just recessed the magnet into the slider. As mentioned previously, these blast gates are notorious for clogging up in the bottom. I solved this by cutting off the corner of the blast gate, so any dust trapped inside would be able to escape when I push the blast gate in. And to seal it, I made a rubber flap held in place by some rubber bands. So when I open the blast gate, the rubber flap closes the opening. Push it back in and the dust escapes. You might wonder why I didn't go with the through sliders. But due to the configuration and the lack of room, I had to solve it like this. In this area I installed the through sliding blast gates for the jointer and for the router table. The table saw also has a separate blast gate, with one line going to the bottom of the saw and one for the overhead dust collection. I ran 110mm pipes throughout the shop due to the fact that I was not able to fit 150mm pipes because of the low ceilings. So on the overhead dust collection for the table saw, I made a reduction from 110 to 75mm, which is about 4¼ inches to 3 inches, to fit the flexible hose. The dust hood is counterbalanced, so it stays in whatever position you put it in. And I made it out of acrylic so I will be able to see the parts going through the saw. Catching dust at the miter station is often a problem. So I made this dust shroud, which has a curtain of flexible vinyl cut into strips. This makes it very easy to move the saw without any obstructions, even for compound cuts. It's also easily removable if you need to access the back. As the blast gate is located under the bench, I made this handle to operate it from the outside. From the blast gate it goes into a flexible hose, which goes into the bottom of the dust chute, which looks like this. I also made a floor sweep to make it easier to clean the shop. So I just swept the floor, and as you can see it has a lot of chunks and all kinds of debris. So let's put it to the test. The benefit of having a system with an automatic start and stop when you open and close the gates is that you never leave a gate open. You have to shut the gate to turn off the dust collector. The fan is a 3 horsepower trash pick from work, and it has a 12-inch steel impeller. It is powered by a VFD, so I'm able to adjust the speed to get the airspeed that I want in my pipes. 3 filter bags are also recycled from an old dust collector at work. Got plenty of surface area. The 3-baffle separator was built for the old single stage dust collector that I had. It used to have a 4-inch outlet pipe. So when I installed it in this setup, I had to enlarge the hole to fit the 8-inch. Due to the size of the drum, the separation is not that good. So I ended up with a lot of dust going past the separator, which you can see here. So this is an overview of my system. There's a couple of things I want to do to improve it. The first thing I'm going to do is build a new separator, and I already got the drum for it. It's a larger diameter and a taller unit for better separation. I also want to experiment with this bell mouth to see if it improves on the separation. This looks like it's got the right proportions. Another thing I also want to do is make a level indicator for the drum, some kind of signal, to let me know when it's filled up. And also when I bang out these filters, I want to be able to collect the stuff in the bottom. So I'll be making a box with a drawer to be able to pull it out. That was the basic overview of my system. I hope you found it interesting and that you will tag along for the upcoming videos on the other improvements I'm going to make.